Ruidoso Downs Racetrack and Casino kicks off their Summer Meet Memorial Day weekend and will continue with live racing every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through Labor Day. Don't miss your chance to watch and wager on the stakes trials this weekend with the first leg of the Quarter Horse Triple Crown, the Grade 1 Ruidoso Futurity, and Ruidoso Derby. Bet with your favorite ADW and get free PPs at raceruidoso.com. Experience the excitement of thoroughbred and quarter horse racing from the mountains of New Mexico at Ruidoso Downs. Guaranteed excitement, you bet.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 11 at Churchill Downs on a stakes-packed Saturday card is the $100,000 War Chant Stakes. Let's take a look at this field of three-year-olds getting set to go 1 mile on the turf. It's a big group, Mike, and it seems like a pretty competitive field with a good amount of pace signed on.
Yeah, I thought there was enough pace in here for this to certainly be a fair race. And I agree with you. It's sort of a well-matched kind of group, too. I don't think there were any, stars in this race, but certainly some solid three-year-old turf horses.
We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this event, and we see a red bar situation indicating the Timeform US believes the pace will be fast. Stretch out sprinter Liam's Pride, the 8, California Invader, Smooth Like Straight, the 9. You've got Vanzi, the number 4. Hieronymus, the 6, also has speed. So, again, there should be some hitting up front, and that really would help the number 1, South Bend, going out for Stanley Huff. This horse just didn't really fire last time out, and that was somewhat surprising because he had been a pretty consistent runner leading up to that event.
That's true. I mean, he had been, very consistent on both turf and dirt, Dan. His turf form leading up to that last race was fine. I wasn't, blown away by it, but he ran some good races. Last time, for whatever reason, he just didn't really show up with his best. Maybe he can rebound here. A pace would help his chances. But even if he gets one, I just don't like him that much, Dan. I'm not a big fan of this horse.
And I wonder how much upside is left after 9 lifetime starts. It seems like he might be just a little bit exposed from a buyer speed figure standpoint. Bodie Cream is the number 2. I think he'll be further back this time around than he was last time. There wasn't much pace in that Black Gold Stakes at the fairgrounds, and he was forced to be a bit closer. He worked out a decent enough trip, I thought, sitting the pocket, but he was in a bit tight trying to split horses in mid-stretch, and I wonder if he was just a little bit uncomfortable going through that hole. I think this horse has a little bit of ability.
I agree with that. I don't want to say he was compromised last time, but certainly I didn't think he got the best trip of the 1, 2, 3 finishers in there. This horse has been beaten by Hieronymus twice in his last 3 starts. I'm not so sure that he hasn't run as well as Hieronymus both times, Dan. And he's going to be a much better price this time. His win in the Texas Turf Mile 2-back, I mean, he had a good pace to close into that day, but he really ran there too. He crushed that field. I think this horse is very underrated, and I'm using him in here.
And I think he'll get a similar pace situation this time around as in that Texas Turf Mile. And we have a positive formulator fact for his trainer. Over the past 4 years, 3-year-old turf routers off 2 to 4 month day layoffs, 4 for 10, $6.30 return on investment. Island Commish is the number 3. This is another horse that could be part of the pace picture. He likes to be up close. He'll be making his second start of the form cycle, and he's a graded stakes winner. He won the Kitten's Joy 2 starts back, but that pace was really to his liking. He'll have to probably go faster early here.
Yeah, his Kitten's Joy is definitely the situation where he just took advantage of a rated pace. There were no closers in there. He managed to get it done. You can't take that win away from him, Dan. I just think it's going to be harder for him to get the trip he wants in this race.
First-time turf for the number 4, Vanzi by Verrazano, 13% winners with first-time turf runners. The Dam was a first turf winner. This colt's a half to Colton, Mississippi. Grade 2 placed on the turf, the only turf winner from 4 turf runners that the Dam has produced. This horse is really nice on synthetic, and if you believe that form will successfully transfer to turf, I guess he can fit at a price, but he's going to be part of a crowded pace picture, and that could set him up for the closers.
That's true. I mean, listen, he's a versatile horse. He's already won on dirt and synthetic. His Dam was that way too. She won on all 3 surfaces. So it seems like he's, more in that kind of a vein. I guess the big issue with him is the 2 stakes wins on synthetic, both times just able to clear off to the early lead where he didn't have to go fast. And that's not going to be the case this time.
Field Pass, the number 5, goes out for Michael Maker, seeking a hat trick. He won the Dania Beach on turf 2 starts back. Then he won the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes over a somewhat questionable field, going 1.125 at Turfway. I thought he looked good enough that day. He was wide all the way around the track. He dug in, and he got a horse that just might not have stayed the 1.125 in Invader. Field Pass is an honest horse. I wonder how much upside is there, but he's going to get the right setup, and he'll likely be charging in the lane.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm starting to come around on him a little bit, Dan. I didn't buy into him necessarily early on when he broke his maiden at Saratoga. He did it with a perfect trip. And so I just wasn't really sold on him. But you know what? He's actually improved since then. His Dania Beach was another good trip, but he was very game splitting horses late to get up in that race. And then he came back and he won again last time. I don't love him, but I'm going to try and use him somewhere.
Here's Hieronymus, 4 for 5 lifetime in his career. He's done most of his damage on the lead. He's going to face other pace and probably a faster pace than he's ever faced in his career, but he's done nothing wrong. In that Black Gold Stakes, he was able to set the pace, and he dug down deep at odds on. 91, 92 buyers in his last 2 races. He fits. He's going to have to overcome the pace setup.
His figures suggest he's supposed to be very tough in here. I do think he's improving with racing, that's for sure. I don't know about what kind of trip he can get. I mean, I think it is at least worth pointing out, and I realize that November 21st race over this turf course was over yielding ground, and it was off a little bit of a layoff for this horse. But he was no max that day. He did make the lead in there. The horse that finished 3rd, Street Ready, who's also back in here, just tracked him all the way, and this horse was really no match in there. So that concerns me, but he has improved since then. So maybe he'll be a factor in here. I was kind of against him, Dan, but I guess I won't be surprised if he runs well.
One of the more fascinating horses in this race is the 7, Bama Breeze. This is a horse that has only raced once. It was way back in September, and Rusty Arnold, his new trainer, is showing a lot of confidence running him in this tough spot off a long layoff. And I guess you would have confidence, too, if you watched his career debut, because he did a lot of good things there. The buyer came back light, but that only helps his price.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, only a 67 for that win, but he was also, you know, obviously it was a 2-year-old in September debuting around 2 turns on the grass. So I don't know how fast you could expect him to run. And I think your other point is the one that's even more well taken, Dan, is that you really have to watch the race. To say he did a lot of good things might even be an understatement. He ran a really nice race in that spot, made 2 different moves in there, was blocked in the stretch, and once he came clear, and he did come clear with time, but once he came clear, he won that race very easy. It looks like a horse who has a lot of upside.
Liam's Pride stretches out. He's only raced once previously on the turf. That was his career debut, going 5.5 furlongs, and he showed good speed that day. Time from US believes that he'll be on the lead. I wouldn't be surprised if he's right up close, but again, the pace is going to be very fast. He's only had 1 prior route effort. That was on dirt. Didn't do very well that day. He has a lot of questions to answer regarding distance, pace, and class.
Right. Listen, he'll be a big price for a very good trainer. He's not my kind of horse. I actually think some of his dirt form is actually pretty good. He's just not my kind of horse stretching out in a race like this.
Smooth Like Straight is the number 9, and from Southern California, from Mike McCarthy. This horse won the Cecil B. DeMille 3 starts back at a mile. Let's go back to his most recent start. That was the Pasadena Stakes, and he went fast in the early portion of this race. He finally dissuades his pace challenger, and he's going to be run down late by Haribo. 89 buyer speed figure for Smooth Like Straight. I thought he tried hard once he was confronted by the closer in the stretch. Really the key for this horse, and I think he fits from a class standpoint, from a figure standpoint. The key to this horse is, can he relax off the pace? He's done most of his damage on the lead. If he can sit, he has a possibility to gain first run on some of these closers, and I think he's okay.
Yeah, I think he's okay too. He seems like a confirmed speed type to me, so it worries me that he might have to try to change up his running style here and still win. On the other hand, he does have talent, Dan. He is shipping in from California, and I don't think he's shipping into a super tough spot either. There are things to like about this horse. We'll see what kind of price he is.
First-time turf for the 10, Shared Sense. We have a formulator fact for his high-percentage trainer, Brad Cox. Past 2 years, 3-year-olds, last now winners. Moving from dirt to turf, 32%, $2.41 ROI. This one came from Adavit to win his most recent start at Oaklawn. He's by Street Sense, 10% winners with first-time turf runners. Do you see the turf here?
I didn't see the turf on the bottom of his pedigree, which bothered me. Street Sense to me is a versatile sire. They can do anything, but I didn't see a lot of turf on the bottom. So I didn't really want to take him switching surfaces. That being said, I think his dirt form is fine, and he's probably got the right running style for this race.
Street Ready, the number 11, I didn't think had a very good trip in the Cutler Bay 2 starts back at something like 85-1. He was 3-4 wide throughout, and he finished evenly in between horses. And he came out of that race with this performance. They dropped him into a non-winners of one other than. It was just the right spot for him. And he overcame a wide journey to win. I think he's a little bit better than he looks on paper. He's going to get the right pace scenario. I do have some questions about class. I am not sure he's a stakes horse just yet, but he is moving in the right direction.
I'm not sure either, but he's the horse who I'm going to use in this race somewhere, Dan. I think he's going to be a fair price, and your point about his last race is well taken. I mean, I would suggest anybody go back and watch the replay, especially early on, because I don't know, he had to be hung up a good 5 or 6 wide around the first turn in that race, but his rider never really backed off it. He kept him right up there close, and this horse did a lot of work to win that race. I think he's headed the right way.
Stakes winner Pixelate, the number 12, picks up Joel Rosario for Michael Stidham. This horse finished behind Hieronymus last time out. Might get a better pace situation this time. He was 3-4 wide turning into the stretch. He had a look at Hieronymus in the lane. He just couldn't pick him up, but it was an improvement from a buyer speed figure perspective. And again, the pace should be fairer for him to attack.
Yeah, it should. I mean, I was a fan of this horse early on in his career. He got his stakes win in New York. The race 2 back, I didn't think he ran great when Bodie Cream outkicked him, and I guess he ran fine last time. Listen, I'm not totally done with him, Dan, but he's not a great price on the morning line. I feel like I just want to go in a different direction if he's going to take money in here.
Billy Bats was purchased prior to the Saudi Derby. They ran him on dirt there. That's not his game. He's now with Steve Asmussen. The last time he raced on turf was this effort in the Baffle Stakes, going 5.5. And perhaps what's most notable about this race is that he beat 3 next out winners. Billy Bats has been an honest horse on the turf. His buyer speed figures are light compared with some of the others. This post position is not great. I would need more than the 5-1 on the morning line. You just might get it.
Yeah, I think you might get it too. We'll see what happens. He's certainly a stakes quality kind of horse. That's a very easy winner. I realized it was 5.5, but I don't see why you would worry about distance with this horse. He's shown he can get the mile in the past. There are things to like about him. You know, again, I don't think he's a star, but I think they're shipping him into a really logical spot here.
Fenwick Station, the 14, formulator fact for Eddie Keneally, past 4 years, 3-year-old turf horses adding blinkers, 33% winners, a 251 ROI. Good formulator fact for a horse that figures to be way up there on the tote board. Last time out in the Cutler Bay, I don't know, he had a good pace set up. He tried to split some horses. He finished on evenly. It wasn't a race that makes me very excited to see him back in the stakes ranks, but he is stakes placed in his career. That was at Kentucky Downs as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, your point's well taken about his last race. He didn't run terrible in there, but he didn't run great either. I thought he had a little trouble 2 starts back in the Palm Beach. Not that he was going to win, but he had a little trouble in there. And I actually did like the first 3 starts of his career as a 2-year-old. So, you know, I don't really want to give up on him yet. I'm not suggesting I'm going to bet him in here, Dan, but I could see trying to get him in there somewhere at a big price.
Well, let's take a look at our top picks in here. It's a wide open race, the War Chant. Mike, you're going for a price. Bama Breeze, so impressive. We'd urge everybody to go back and watch that replay. He is 30-1 on the morning line in here. And again, Rusty Arnold is no fool. There are plenty of non-winners of one other than. He's running this horse in a stake. First off, a long layoff.
Yeah, that's certainly a good sign. Yeah, like I said, Dan, I just want prices in this race. There are some good horses in here, but I don't think there are any superstars. The shorter prices, at the end of the day, I just wasn't that afraid of him, Dan. I'll take Bama Breeze and hope he's ready off the layoff here. And I'm going to use a lot of Bodie Cream, too. I think that horse is in very good form.
Mike's going 7, 2, 11, and 5. I want to give Smooth Like Straight a chance. I'm hoping that Johnny V can get him to rate. He's got a really fast speed horse directly to his inside, Liam's Pride. I think he'll outfoot Smooth Like Straight. If Smooth Like Straight can relax into a spot where he's 3rd or 4th, I think he has a chance. So should be right in the thick of things when they turn into the stretch. I like his California form. 9, 6, 5, 12 for me, 7, 2, 11, 5 for Mike. It's the War Chant. Race 11 at Churchill on Saturday. Approximate post time 6:16 Eastern. Good luck.